Hello and welcome. You're watching Ask Profit on NDTV Profit. I'm Smriti Chaudhary and with me is Mathew. And this show is all about your stock-related queries. So write to us any of your short-term questions or the long-term investment strategy, and we'll get them answered by our guests. But before we do that, let me quickly take you through the markets and see what's happening there. You look at the Nifty 50 index, it's pretty much flattish right now. Not too much happening there, but with a positive bias nonetheless. You have among the sectors, you have the sectors that are doing well include pharma. However, PSU Bank is on a trot today, up about 1.7%. Again, that was the case yesterday as well. However, on the other end, you have realty that's not doing too well. It's down about 1%. Consumption not doing well. Metals, FMCG, all in the red today. But let's also look at the broader markets and see what's happening there. Definitely, mid-cap has turned to, it's flat, but with a negative bias there. So a bit of a change there that has happened in the last couple of minutes. You have the Nifty small cap index up about 0.6%. So nothing to complain there. Let's look at some of the stock-specific action as well. You have Axis Bank doing quite well in trade today. It's up about 5%. And you look at the Nifty Bank index also. It's not as bad as you'd expect considering what's happening with Kotak, and we'll come to that in just a minute. So it seems like there's a balancing act that's happening on the Nifty Bank index with Axis gaining and Kotak falling. So not too bad there. You look at some of the names that are moving on the back of results. There you have HUL that's down 1.7%. There's LTI Mindtree down 2.7%. Oracle also down about 2.5%. All on the back of not as good of results as you'd expect. Your Vodafone that's turned a little positive now, up about 2%. Started off on a negative note, but after the FPO listing, we're seeing some gains there. However, the focus for today, Alex, is Kotak Mahindra Bank. Can't be ignored. Too big of an action by the RBI.
Yeah, certainly. And if anything, the move on the Nifty Bank, not Nifty Bank actually, the move on the Nifty 50, you can look at it in terms of a tale of two banks, because if you look at the contribution for the Nifty 50, you'll see that the biggest contributor on the upside is Axis Bank. But single-handedly, Kotak Mahindra Bank is causing the Nifty 50 to be flat at this juncture and is contributing about 60 points to the downside right now. In fact, let's talk about the reason for this. And Kotak Mahindra Bank down about 10% even as we speak. Harsh is joining in to talk about why this regulatory action by the Reserve Bank of India is significant and why there is such a big move in the stock price. Harsh, what can you tell us?
Well, thank you for that, Alex. When I'm looking at just the ballpark numbers and the impact, around 3.7% of the portfolio is credit cards. That will definitely struggle to grow because you won't be, or rather Kotak won't be issuing any new credit cards, at least for the 9th to 15th month kind of period for sure. This portfolio has grown at 52% year over year, at least ended Q3 FY24. Q4 numbers yet to come out. So it's low base but very, very high growth. Outside of that, you have their BNPL products, which they sell through Kotak 811 and through online channels predominantly. 90 to 95% of them are sold through online channels. And that too has grown significantly quickly, roughly 33% on a year-on-year basis, 8% sequential is how that portfolio is growing. And that will also likely see a bit of a tempering or a slowing down. But I think the largest impact will be on new customers. New customers added over the last 1 year till Q3 FY24 was roughly a crore, which is a 25% growth from 3.9 to 4.9. So that growth might just taper, and that number one would have to wait and watch out for as to where that number is. Because if new customers continue to get added, then likely some of the other products they can continue to do should not be a problem. So some commentary around that will help. But currently we have most brokerages maintaining or just about reducing the target price, not the rating on the stock. So that's the first piece. Now, stock down 10%. 3.3 lakh crore in terms of market cap, 90,000 odd crore in terms of standalone book value, cumulative, and therefore the stock on a consol basis is trading at roughly 2.6 times price to book, well below its long term as well as short term as well as medium term averages,
right.
Well below it.
Yeah.
So definitely something to look out for, because the stock has taken a bit of a beating in comparative terms to itself, trading at quite a low in terms of book value.
Absolutely. In fact, that is the story that we're focusing on. Thanks, Harsh, for summing that up. In fact, it's a great time to get on our experts. We've got Shaina Mukaddam as well as Ajit Pishra joining in. Shaina, the first question to you. Kotak Mahindra Bank, a disappointment, not just today, but if I look back from COVID lows, it's not done very much either. Even over the last 5 years, at this juncture, if you're talking about 18% gains, then a shareholder might just have received more if they'd put it in a 5-year fixed deposit. And that's saying something for one of the largest private sector banks in India. What is your understanding of what will happen from this point? Because some are talking about the potential for a buying opportunity with a stock like this down about 10%. Is it that?
Well, actually, if you see even valuations that despite the fall and underperformance over the last so many quarters in terms of stock price, still valuations are not expensive, especially if you compare it with the correction that we've seen in HDFC Bank, and even the other large banks have actually consolidated. So in terms of valuation, Kotak Mahindra Bank still remains expensive. Having said that, you also have these additional restrictions by RBI, which over the next couple of quarters is likely to see the bank trying to put its act in place and, continue to see slow growth. So to that extent, I think it is better to avoid, don't catch a falling knife. Kotak Mahindra Bank, even as of now, it would be better not to, get into that stock. The other stocks in the banking space, you can even look at Axis Bank now, which is more or less the size of Kotak in terms of market cap. There, the numbers were great. Of course, you have HDFC, ICICI Bank and SBI that remain other top picks.
All right. And I'm glad that you already spoke about Axis Bank, because that was going to be one of the follow-ups. Let's start with the queries then. And we've got the first one coming in from Mohit. He's writing in from Ludhiana. He's asking about IOC, Indian Oil Corporation of India, which he's bought at levels of 77. Let's pull up the stock and see what it's trading. It's 170, so he's gaining quite a bit of ground. He's looking at the next 2 years. Shaina, should he hold on to this investment?
Yeah, I think he can hold on to the investment. We have a capacity expansion that will actually support, any shortfall that we see in terms of the crude oil prices going up and some bit of impact on margins. But still, it looks like a decent bet in terms of valuation, so you can hold.
The next counter we're talking about is Canara Bank. Now, this is from Sheila from Bangalore. They say they bought the shares at an average price of 292 rupees. Considerable upside from there. It's trading at around 611 rupees. Ajit, I'm going to come to you on this. This has given stellar returns in the last 1 year. Would you suggest booking some profits at this juncture, or would you continue holding on to a stock like that?
So my suggestion is that we have already seen the worst, especially when it comes to the PSU pack, and now, like within the PSU basket, some of the stock like the top performers, SBI, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, they are the one who is reclaiming their multi-year highs. So just to share the perspective about Canara Bank, that in 2010. We were at the level of around 610, and today means we are trading closer to that mark. So I feel that we have more legs to this up move, and if your time permits, if your investment horizon is, let's say, for more than a year, then definitely you should hold. Upside, maybe considering the kind of quantum that we have already seen, it might take a breather for a month or two. But positionally 650 to 670 zone is something that it can test in next 3 to 6 months. So definitely you should hold.
Okay, hold. Jupiter Wagons is the next one I'm coming to you on, Ajit. And this is a question coming in from Rakesh. And he's asking what should be done for the short term. Should it be picked up? It's currently up as much as 10% in trade today.
Yes, Alex. So in fact, we have seen a fresh breakout today. The stock has been hovering in a band for almost 6 months now, that 420 to 340. And finally, we have seen the breakout with strong volumes, almost 5 times of the average volume. And the stock is trading at record highs. So everything looks positive. You should definitely hold. You should, one can look for fresh longs also. 410 is now the area where one should maintain a stop. And based on the consolidation range closer to around 465 to 470, that should be our immediate target.
All right. The next counter we're talking about is Polycab. This one's from Sri Kishore Sharma from Bihar. They say they bought the shares at around 4,700 rupees. Shahina, I'm going to come to you on this one. Hopefully the regulatory action on this counter is behind us now, and considerable upside also here from the buy price. But from a fundamental point of view, how do you see this counter performing in the longer term?
Well, I think, after the income tax department raid, the stock had seen a substantial correction. But from there on, again, it's bounced back. I think the fundamentals are in place. And I think the revenue growth also is likely to be strong. And we are likely to see margins also improving. So it's a hold from here on. Definitely, you can keep a stop loss. You keep a stop loss of close to about 5,000 rupees.
Fair point. BF Investments, wondering if you have a view, Shahina. We've got Satya who's asking about this particular counter. He's looking for a fundamental view. It's currently trading at 582 or thereabouts and up about 1% in trade.
Yeah, you can continue to hold BF Investments from current levels also. It's looking good both in terms of fundamentals as well as technicals. So you can hold it, and you can keep a stop loss of close to about, you can keep stop loss at about 500 rupees, which is a deep stop loss.
All right. Now this question is picking two stocks from a medium-term perspective. This one's from Jay Krishnan from Kozhikode, and the couple of stocks that they've named are Bajaj Auto, Tata Power, Tejas, and Balaji Amines. Ajit, if you have to pick two out of these 4 stocks, which one would it be?
So all these stocks, they have already done pretty well. In fact, now we are seeing a bit of a breather in Bajaj Auto. So comparatively, Tata Motors look, better among these names, wherein we may see fresh traction coming in days to come. So definitely you can hold your longs. You can buy fresh also with 975 being the stop and 1,050, 1,060 being the target area. Tejas Network, we have already seen a very sharp surge in the this week so far. Is up nearly 34%, despite the 2 days of pause or consolidation. If you have an existing position, you may continue to hold with the trailing stop at 950. But for fresh buying, I feel that one should wait and let the stock consolidate or witness a dip around 980 to 1,000 zone. Then one should look for fresh longs. Otherwise, one can refrain from accumulating at current levels.
Okay, fair point. That's a point. That's a view on Tejas. And by the way, the stock has been on a bit of a tear in the recent past. It is losing a little bit of steam right now. But we have to slip into a very quick break. We'll be back on the other side to take more of your questions, so do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, and this next question is an interesting one. It's coming in from Multan, and in fact, it is from Chandigarh. Shahina, it's interesting because he's talking about which stock he can buy from a 5-year perspective that is currently priced between 10 rupees and 50 rupees. And I think a lot of investors tend to look at the ticket price of a particular stock to make their decision about whether to buy or not. And we've stressed often that this is not necessarily the best way to look at it. Having said that, would you be able to explain why, one, this is not the best approach, and two, if incidentally there are a few stocks in that range that you like, what would they be?
See, one can buy such stocks, but provided it forms a very small percentage of your portfolio, especially if you're looking at it from a, trading perspective, it's fine. You can look at some stocks which are actually belonging to some sector as well as where there is momentum. I personally have got investments in Jaiprakash Power, which falls into this category. And, one can look at such stocks, but only if it's a small percentage of your portfolio. Do not go in a whole hog and put a large chunk of your money in these smaller, I would say, trading type of stocks, because if one is they don't have liquidity. If the market corrects substantially, you would be stuck. That is why create a portfolio whereas you can invest, because some of these smaller stocks give you the kicker over the longer term.
Well, thanks for that advice. And the next counter we're talking about is Salasa Techno Engineering. This one's from Shiv Kumar from Dubai. They say they bought the counter at 21 rupees. Now, Ajit, we've seen an all-time high of this counter a couple of months ago, but it seems like it's been on a downtrend since then. Would you suggest sticking on to it for a little bit more? Do you see some kind of upside and any specific targets you have on the counter?
Yeah, so the move was almost vertical from 8 to 32, and then we've seen this retracement in the last 2 months, almost 50% of the retracement of the entire move. The good part is that still trading around his buying price, and we have multiple supports also around 19 marks. So in case it seems like that it might spend few more sessions around the current level. So if the view is very short term, you may exit and switch to the counters which are anyways participating in the move. So stocks from the metal space like NMDC, SAIL, Tata Steel, these are the candidates if the view is short term. And if you wish to stay put, then you should maintain a stop at 19. And upside, I feel that a break above 23, 23.5 may result in further momentum towards 27, 28 mark. Around that levels, you may close this position.
Okay, I'm coming back to you, Ajit, on a pretty general question, and this is coming from Ashwini. It hasn't specified a time frame, but looking for which stock to buy at this juncture for gains, not specified a timeline either. So not necessarily a buy now, sell tomorrow kind of a trade, but maybe a short-term view on a stock that you like.
So certainly, as Alex, we have been seeing certain sectors like auto, metal, where we are seeing consistent outperformers. NMDC is one such name which we just mentioned, and as a disclosure, we have recommended to our clients also. 274, 275 is something that we are eyeing in the near future. The stock is quoting at 250, so one can buy NMDC at the current levels, stop at 240. Alongside with the NMDC SCI, wherein we are seeing fresh traction after almost 1.5 months of consolidation. Here also one can look for buying for short to medium term. The stock is quoting at 235, so your stop should be at 215, and positionally 270 to 75 is something that one can maintain as a target.
All right. The next counter we're talking about is 5-star, which is an NVFC. Now, this is from Amit Rastogi, who's written to us on YouTube. They're looking to invest into this counter from from 3 years perspective. Shahina, could you tell us the long-term prospects and the buying range as well?
I don't track the stock.
Okay. Ajit, I'll take it to you then. Any sort of buying range you have on this counter from a longer-term perspective?
It's been almost 1 year now that the stock has been trading in this band 780 to 640, 660. So we are currently in the middle of the band, and if somebody is planning, let's say for investment, then the lower band, closer to around 660, 640 is the zone basically where one can look at accumulating the stock. And if you are planning anything for the momentum, means for the shorter duration, then one should wait and let the stock surpass 730 hurdle, and then 760 to 775 be the target area for the stock. But as of now, it's a no.
Okay. The next question I will take is from Rahul. He's writing from IP Extension. He points out, and he's bought PI Industries at levels of 3475. He's looking at a relatively shorter term view, but I'll still come across to you, Shahina. He's looking at the next 6 months. The stock is trading at above his buy price at 3745. What should he watch out for?
I think chemical sector is still got some more, way to actually start giving returns. So I would actually not be invested in this sector, and I would avoid PI Industries. I would exit and probably look at metals or power.
All right. Next counter we're talking about is Star Health. Star Health, and this one's from Satya. They say they bought the counter at 774 a piece. The counter is below that, somewhere around 565 rupees. Shahina, do you have coverage on this particular counter? And if you do, what are the long-term prospects for this?
Star Health actually looks decent at current levels. I think going forward, there was some bit of consolidation based on numbers actually being pretty weak. But I think going forward, things are looking better. So one can continue to hold for the medium to longer term.
Okay. Suresh from Chalakudi in Kerala is asking about Raj Oil Mills. I must confess that I'm not really familiar with the counter. Ajit, have you come across this, and would you suggest that it's something that you can get into at this juncture? It's up at upper circuit, if I'm not mistaken, right now.
In fact, Alex, I also cannot find this stock.
No, that's fine. That's understandable. Let me go to the next one then. We've got Kusum, and she's bought HAL at 3,800 levels. And she's wondering whether to exit at this point. On the charts, is that a good idea?
See, the defense-related counters like HAL, BEL, BHEL, they all are doing well. And as long as we are seeing this momentum continuing, one can stay put. And now, since she had bought it at 3,800 and the stock is already reached 4,000 mark, she may trail the stock to 3,940. Just to avoid any notional loss, and wait for 4,100, 4,150 zone as a target area.
All right. The next counter we're talking about is Irida. Now, a recent listing, but this question is from Mr. Reddy. He's bought the shares at a price of 116, currently trading at 167. Shahina, long-term view on this one. We've seen the stock correct a little bit after the rally post-listing.
Oh, it's given a fantastic performance, and valuations are stretched, I must admit, at current levels. But given the potential for renewable energy and the trading that is happening there, I think one can continue to hold. He can keep a stop loss of close to about 150, but it's a hold as of now.
Okay. All right. It's an interesting question, actually, from a viewer, Nagaraju, who's writing in from Hyderabad, and it's a space that I don't think has been explored too much here in India, perhaps because it's nascent. Shahina, he's looking at the semiconductor space. We've heard a few, rumors. We've heard some news items, but is there anything that you see existing right now that is listed that you can use to play that semiconductor theme?
I think it's too early. But one can look at some of the auto companies if you're looking at, auto power. But I think it's too early to specifically invest in semiconductors as of now.
All right. The next counter we're talking about is 361, and this one's from Rahul. Okay, we have already taken a question from Rahul. Let's move on to another one.
I've got the next question. Geo Finance. Geo Financial Services, and is it the right price to get into this counter? And I think a lot of people are asking this question. Just take a look at the year-to-date performance of this particular stock, and you will see that it's had an incredible run. So I will come across to you, Ajit, on this one. What would you suggest somebody should do right now? Because if you look at the fundamentals, there are some people that are pointing out that there's a lot that is yet to play out for this counter, though we haven't really seen these businesses move yet. What is the view on the technicals, though?
So exactly, Alex. Though the stock prices have been inching gradually northward, and the stock is currently trading to its record highs, I feel that one should be selective, especially when the stock, let's say, corrects 5 to 10%, then only one should look for fresh buying if planning for the short term. And do maintain a stop also. So let's say we are quoting at 384. So any dip towards, let's say, 370, 75 zone is the area basically where one can look for fresh longs. And a close below 360 might derail the entire momentum that we are seeing in the stock. So one should maintain a strict stop at 360 for any long position in Geo Finance.
All right. Next counter we're talking about is Z. This is from Amarnath Reddy. They bought the shares at a price of 140, so close to the current market price. Shahina, we've seen regulatory action. We just saw news about the personal, an insolvency plea that has been admitted against the founder of the company. But considering all of that, what's the long-term view on Z?
See, I personally have been holding it for a long time and extremely disappointed with the way the stock has performed. And I think, the issues regarding the promoter don't seem to come to an end. So if you're not really losing money on the stock, I think there are better opportunities available in the media space. You have TV18. So I think one can switch. I personally am holding, but, I don't see where this whole issue is going to end.
That's a fair point. All right. That brings us, unfortunately, to the end of this particular edition of Ask Profit. Shahina, as well as Ajit, thank you so much, as always, for taking the time and for answering all the questions that you did. And viewers, it's practically impossible for us to take all of your questions over the course of just half an hour, but still, hopefully, the answers that we've got today have benefited you, even if we couldn't take your question. Do stay tuned. Lots more coming up over the course of the day. And this is NDTV Profit.